Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a Valorant Master Santiago 2026 review. Let's see how everything went. And by everything, really, these last four matches and my thoughts on everything and my pick'ems, because I already covered this half, right? I want to talk about these four. This makes it more manageable. But let's see where I ended on the pick'ems before we get into things that I was passionate about. Let's say that. Where did I end off? 130 points. Now, as a reminder, I did it in the manner of I did my pick'ems. I ended up doing what I wanted to happen versus what I really thought would happen. Even I don't remember what I thought would happen, so I'd have to go back at that video, or you'd have to go back at that video to see. I guess I wanted G2 to win, but this is really, I just said that I don't think NRG G2 might be NRG's kryptonite. That's all that was. I kind of was leaning for NRG to win it all, but that leads me to let's actually talk about these matches and surprises, disappointments, everything, right? I guess first off, grand finals. Do we start grand finals? I think that's the big talking one because there's not much to talk about. Nongshim 3-0'd the fuck out of Paper X. They absolutely smoked them. And now, this is where I feel kind of justified. Now, mind you, I didn't say it wasn't going to be a good matchup because of regional things, but if you look at my pick'ems here, right, I didn't have Paper X qualifying out of Swiss. And I said this in a couple of videos. I didn't think Paper Rick was going to make it to Santiago if they faced Nongshim. But guess what? They didn't face Nongshim at all until the grand finals of Santiago, and guess what happens? 3-0, the shit wasn't even close. You could argue the first map was close, right? Garo 13-11. Everything else absolutely stomped them. Like they smacked their ass in the face, right? So I feel pretty justified on that. In the fact that no, this is the other thing about it. People are like, no, with Triple LM, you can't argue bracket things or anything like that. The fact that they didn't face each other, and I knew this was going to happen. When Paper X looked worse, by the way, they looked better in Santiago than they did in kickoff, and Nongshim look just as good as they did. Uh, I think that yeah, I feel pretty justified that I didn't want to see this. I wanted to see this happen way before, because I just knew that it wasn't. They weren't close. They weren't close. I called that shit like a motherfucker. So it's a little disappointing to call it as bad as I did, and that it went the way it did. So with that, Nongshim, and this is the other thing. Taking it to some online shit. This is the saltiest I think I've seen some fans in some times for something completely unrelated. RQ, one of the players, put out a post that said that they had like it was 3-2 versus Nongshim with one of those finals. And everybody's like, "Wow, you're throwing them under the bus. You guys are still shit." And I think he was just saying he said we're kind of crazy, right? Yeah, I think that's justified. Their team is the only other one to get two maps off of Nogshim. That's pretty good compared to the 3-0 Grand Finals, and I mean G2 took a map off of them, right? So I don't know. I thought that was pretty salty out of the fan base to be so butthurt when didn't even mention shit about Paper X or any other team. Just was like, no, we're kind of crazy, right? So yeah, that was insane. And that's kind of where I go on that one, where I was just like, no, you all, we've got to learn to stop being salty about things completely unrelated. Now, coming to the other three matches, because there truly was nothing to talk about here. The map veto went kind of the way that I thought, and that's where I have the problem with everybody else. Um, Nongshim NRG. The question going into grand finals, everything was, how do you stop Dombey? Everybody's coming up with these plans. And I had released a video about, like, hey, I hope that NRG considers adding Harbor to their split comp. That was before this match, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was before this match. Um, but, one of the comments was like, do you think NRG can beat Nongshim? And I'm like, I think they can, but will they is another question. And I had faith that NRG's comps was going to do better than the double duelist shit that we've seen, because everybody's playing double duelist wrong out of Americas. If I'm being honest, still don't know why it's so hard for Americas to figure out that double duelist means you have to go fight them. Don't know why we can't figure that out, but hey, here we are. But that was weird because I I didn't expect us to be on these maps, if I'm being honest. I expected NRG to be a bit smarter about this. And this is where I do have a little bit of, it's not flame, I guess. I don't want it to be flame, but Bonkar confuses the fuck out of me because I understand prepping for the maps that your opponent wants to play, right? I understand that. But you could also give yourself a better chance, and we see why it didn't happen later. So, coming to this game, Nongshim versus NRG, I expected NRG to take them to Corrode with either their Corrode or Split to take them there for either a KO to tackle this Neon problem, or Corrode smaller lines for a Neon to exec where it's not just a straight shot into your face. You at least like have an elbow to turn and everything. Um, with like that, or Split where Vice can slow down a Neon pretty famously right after Cypher. They didn't do that. Instead, we ended up going to Bind, and they tried to repeat the thing that G2 did of taking them to Abyss so that Dombey's not on Neon, and instead on Waylay. And, well, that didn't work because Nongshim was like, hey, we have a weakness here on Abyss. Let's change something. And NRG doesn't do well with change. Ivy goes over to Cypher. And that was all they needed to do. So while I think Bondkar is pretty smart, because if you look at the timeouts, like he clearly, for most of them, I think like 80% of the time, his fix, whatever he says in the timeout, works out. But when it comes to map vetoes, I am terribly confused why we gave them bind. Like, I feel like this should have been the number one ban first. Like, this should have been the first ban, in my opinion. Like, I don't know why this got through. Like, you were already just, I don't know. I don't know. So it was just an odd one. Then going back, right, let's go Paper XG2. And this is where, boy, did it look bad. So, you'd look at Baby Bay and go, damn, Baby Bay had a terrible time versus Paper X. And that's true. But I'd also ask you to look at everybody in general. Because I know it's easy to blame Baby Bay, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to flame Baby Bay too. He was pretty whiffy with the op shots. It was really bad. But also look at Leaf and look at Valen. So Baby Bay at least is playing a duelist at portions of this, so more deaths. Valen over the course of the series on only Astra, one less death. Then you have Leaf at 52, who admittedly was playing a duelist at one point, but also on Viper in Vice. And again, this is going to be heavy on Leaf again, because what the fuck, Leaf? Look at the first kill, first death. Giacomo is the entry duelist for the most part. Hell, in this series, he definitely was when Baby Bay's not on fucking Waylay. So him having 11 first deaths makes sense. 7 first kills. Why does my Viper Vice player have the second most over the series? And you'd go, oh, it had to all come from Haven. No. No, it didn't. No, it did not. Instead, Leaf had the most first deaths out of the team on Breeze. And tied for second most on Corrode. Valen took that one. And as you can see on Corrode, the shit was not close. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So this goes to my thing with G2, right? One, look, I've been a Baby Bay defender for most of this time. But it doesn't make sense for your players. Leaf can't stop fucking moving. And that's the one thing that irritates the hell out of me out of watching Leaf, who has incredible aim. But the characters he's playing, like if you watch, like when they did Breach on Split, why is my Breach just out? Like where are they doing? I don't care if he got an ace. That's only backed by his aim and 100 Thieves just not looking like at all. Like they just eyes monitor off. Don't know. So why is my Viper Vice player first death so much in these positions? Leaf can't sit the fuck down. And then Baby Bay, I don't like his waylay that much. And I do try to shoot him Bell on Yoru, because at least he can up on Yoru. It does look worse when he starts missing shots. But then it looks even worse because here's the thing that I don't like about Baby Bay's Yoru. I don't understand what the fuck we're supposed to be clearing with his ult. It's probably one of the Yorus that I wonder the most what they are asking to be cleared with the ult the most. Where I'm looking at it, I'm like, huh, there's 3 people on the site and he's only seen 1. And that happens a couple of times, so I've been a staunch Baby Bay defender, but you just gotta put Leaf on the Yoru. Well, Yoru's, that's another thing. I don't know what they're going to do on this coming meta, but I don't know. It was bad. It was pretty bad out of them. Uh, I worry about Giacomo too. Like, sure, he's the only one here that went positive across the series by 1. Um, I think that was a lot of it saved by the Phoenix performance. And I don't mean just like, oh yeah, Space Creator numbers bad. No, I mean, I don't know what Giacomo and Leaf are doing sometimes. Like, I get heating up, and Giacomo did a better time this match of stopping once you actually need to. But throughout the entire rest of Santiago, I was worried because he was just going in weird places. Hell, Haven here, Leaf gets Paper Rex back in the game by jumping around, doing some fuck shit. Again, because he can't sit still. And then Baby Bay and somebody else whiffs like a motherfucker. And then Forsaken gets a 3K to get them the round win when he absolutely should not be winning that. Again, I don't know why Leaf can't sit still on some of these agents. And mind you, yeah, you could argue Yoru should be moving around. It's a 3v1. Secure the round. Let's do that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. Trent tried. That was cool. Valen IGL can't be too hard on him, but I don't know what's going on with G2 and if they're going to fix it. I don't know. I especially don't know what the fuck they're going to do in this coming meta. Why did I say meta in this coming meta? I don't know. I don't know. But coming to Paper X though, to see them get beat with their own comp, well, with one change, Astra over for the Omen, was kind of funny. Not gonna lie, it was kind of funny because Paper X did Paper X shit of, hey guys, what if we all just swing one by one at points that would not benefit us in the slightest? Don't know. They did Paper X shit, and then they remembered to play the game, i.e., something woke up on these last two maps. So that's pretty much the story there. Don't know what the fuck. And then coming to Energy Paper X. Again, I just don't know why Bonkar let some of these maps through. I just didn't get it. Oh, and then yeah, Pearl. Pearl. This being Pearl, right? This was another one that I'm like, okay, hold on. Coming to G2 Paper X, I figured they'd take him to Pearl. But instead, they get the Haven semi mirror, and then they go to Breeze. I was like, why the fuck are you all going to Breeze? Why on earth would you take Paper Rex to Breeze? That didn't make sense looking at their roster compared to yours in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry, you could have faith that you guys have some shooters, which is true, right? You have Leaf and Jog and Trent, and Valen's been heating up on a heater, and Baby Bay has his moments, right? But it's still into Paper Rex, notably something Forsaken, Jing, Devi, and Envy. Like, I don't. Why the fuck do you don't take shooters to the shooter map, even though it's been reworked so it's not like as prevalent anymore? I couldn't understand why the fuck we did this. This just take them to Pearl. You you why didn't you use your Pearl comp into them? I could tell you, America's coaches and map decisions for these last couple of things, I was fucking confused. I could not understand it. But coming back to NRG Paper X, yeah, that was bad. That was not great, and I felt for Bongar because I could tell, and I felt for Ethan. This was the most stressed I think I've seen Ethan in a long time. That man was melting. I don't know what the temperature inside is because, well, I don't know if you all have seen that tweet too, where it's just like, why are the casters or the talent wearing three different like levels of outfits? One has a jacket, one has a little vest on, and one is like skirt. Like, what this is? What is the temperature in here? So you got this situation where again, why did we do this? This one made sense out of NRG, right? You're like, yes, take them to Pearl, which is what I thought G2 would do when it comes to Paper X. Take them to Pearl, right? Like, this would make sense. And then we come back to the split comp. And I see that they didn't see my video to pivot in time. That's fine, right? No big deal. I was just throwing out ideas. Jokes aside, though. Paper X woke the fuck up. They look good. It actually was less NRG fucking up. It was more Paper X taking over. Something was popping off. Devi had his shots. Jing got to play Raze. Like, that was more so the story here. Then we come to Corrode. And again, I'm just like, that's interesting. So they changed their Corrode comp, NRG changed their Corrode comp for Ethan to now be on Sky. And this is where Ethan pissed me off the most, because he did this for a lot of the tournament, but his OCS habits are like strong. Like, they are strong. There's at least 3 moments, I think, on Corrode alone where Ethan has the flash ready to pop it, decides against it, swings, and then him and the person he swung with get shot because you're playing paper racks, and you guys line up pretty perfectly into the swing. So it got so bad that I tweet, Ethan, please just throw the flash. Or whatever I said. I think I just said, Ethan, please flash. Because there's like, it was driving me crazy, especially the one that I can think of offhand, is they're all in fucking defender spawn, trying to save weapons or rotate or whatever the fuck the situation was. I think NRG had gone through mid, and they were trying to get to A. Yeah, I think they were attackers. And Ethan's on one side, obviously you guys have been quiet everywhere else. So of course they're going to start looking spawn. And Ethan has the flash ready to double swing with somebody. And instead of just blinding the person to get your one, I understand that there's like less information in the game. And that once you use this last flash, because he already used one at the start, it would be GG, right? Like you would be out of flashes and then you just have to pray for the rest of it. But you saw the person. Just make it easy, get the kill, play your numbers. Instead, no, they lose that swing 2v1. Now they're down two more people. And it's just like, Ethan, please, for the love of everything, just fucking flash. Just fucking flash. And he did that several times on Corrode, and there were several times throughout Santiago that I'm just like, Ethan, please just throw the flash. Just flash. And instead he gets punished. And that brings me to another thing about Ethan. Was it here? It's where he was playing Omen. Yeah. Breeze. Ethan's positioning has just been very odd. This is why I think he was like very stressed. I don't know why this was more stressful than champs from what I understand, from what I would look at, right? But there's another time here where Ethan is holding his Omen flash, but he's exposed himself to an angle, so he just gets spammed before he can throw it. And then there's another one where again somebody on Paper X is coming through defender spawn, flanking or whatever. No, I think it was through mid, and he's in such an awkward position, just standing at weird spots that they can see him, and they start tapping to try to spam him out. Ethan, just throw the util. Like, I don't know. There's too many times watching, especially this series, but over the course of Santiago, please just throw the fucking util. I've seen less of it now. Like even Paper X doesn't do it as much. Forsaken used to really do this a lot, where you just jiggle peek 5 million fucking times, and then finally decide to throw your util. Like pretty sure it was Bind that Ethan also was like a fade, and then somebody just chased him down because like, hey, the game's evolved now. Everybody's faster, both faster shooting, and the agents are faster. You can't just do this jiggle peek shit for 5 years and then throw util. You've already taken too much damage, if not been shot, because people are just better aimers now. So, Ethan, for the love of everything, throw the fucking util. That was driving me crazy. Just throw the fucking util. But yeah, again, why are we taking Paper Rex to Breeze? Why are we letting them get Breeze? Just moving forward to anybody, ever. Don't take this team to Breeze. I don't remember what their win rate was on it for the last year or whatever. I don't care if their game plan looks bad. You don't take the most Deus Ex Machina ass team that we've ever seen to Breeze. A map that just lets random bullshit win. Just don't do it. Just can we stop doing it? Please and thank you. So yeah, something had a sleeper, but the rest of the team stepped up. And I will say this is another good thing out of Wendler. I saw the post-match interview for Grand Final, so this doesn't pertain to this match particularly. But something fell off towards the end of this tournament. And he's like, look, Ilya's carried us for times to make a comp work. Sometimes you just, it's not just on him. And that's very true, right? Like, it is a 5-player game. It can't just all be one person bad, bad, bad. which is why I go with, oh, that's insane that that everybody tries to put so much on Baby Bay when it's like, no, it's not just Baby Bay. Yeah, when he's missing shots on Chamber or Yoru op shots, yeah, that's on Baby Bay. But besides that, the gameplay that's formulated around him, I just don't see them working in the way, and I just don't know why he's in the role that they're on. I don't know, but that's G2 making me angry again, and that was the way that this went. It was not close, not particularly close. Um, so yeah, Santiago. Overall, how do we feel? Pacific on top, right? Apparently, we found out what we already knew, that Pacific is best at this meta of double duelist. Who would have guessed? The region known for double duelist, if not triple at times, would be good at the double duelist meta. America's second best, EMEA third, and then China fourth. Things we all knew, right? Things we all knew. Overall, coming into the next stage, I see that Paper Rex immediately faces Nong Sim, so we don't have to worry about that again, which is kind of weird that they let that happen, considering that just happened. I think they should have done a better job there. I don't know, that's weird to immediately give a rematch when it wasn't particularly a banger. I think that's the other thing that people are upset about with the grand final. On paper, you go, this is going to be a banger. If you are remembering both of these teams at their highs, right? Truth be told, I don't think Paper Rex looked all that good this entire tournament. Like at all. I think, like I said a couple of times, I think everybody else just looked a bit worse. Like, you go to G2, I was never that confident that they looked amazing. They looked still shaky. I don't understand what's going on over there. And it just they just so happen to have enough firepower to get past things like BBL. I think that was the only one where I'm like, okay, that's a reassuring one, right? Out of all of Santiago, that's a reassuring win. But then you take NRG, and what happens if they weren't against some of these other teams, right? Like, what happens going to Pick'ems if they aren't immediately against Gli? Right? What happens if they don't get essentially a bye? Okay? What happens if they're not against Liquid in their current state? What happens, right? Um, Instead, they at least the dub over Paper Rex. Like I said, hey, hold on now. Okay, maybe there's something here, but I didn't think Paper Rex looked all that good. And then they lose the rematch 3-1. And I do think that is on map selection. Like, I really do wonder what the fuck Bondcar was smoking with Nongshim and Paper Rex map selection. Like, I understand now why they didn't pick Herode into Nongshim, because you had changed the comp, I'm assuming, earlier to put Ethan on Sky. So it would not have been as great into Nongshim, I understand that. But, like, I don't know. Why do we let Bind through? Why do we let Split through? Like, you just couldn't let these things happen. Like, I felt like those should have been the target ones for these things. So I don't know. I trust that it's because Bonkar knew the plan, but I feel like that was still just a comp diff waiting to happen. Um, G2 has a lot to work on, and I don't think that this upcoming meta is going to be particularly kind to them. What the fuck is Baby Bay going to play? Right. Please just put Leaf over onto something. Like, I don't. They have to figure it out. They have to figure it out. Um, Pacific, I think that RRQ and GE have a better shot now of getting through next up. I really do. Let's see. What other region? EMEA. I don't want to think about EMEA. People were. I will say, not too many people were mad at me, but I said that I had to stop watching EMEA because it looks so dog shit. At least China, they're doing interesting things where it's just like, oh, look at that. There's a gecko on Corrode. What the fuck is going on here? And you go, oh, there's a Reyna. Like, there's something funny happening. But EMEA is playing standard shit and looking shit with it. So, like, I don't. Maybe the introduction of this new agent does something for something, but I'm not particularly convinced about that new agent for some of this shit either. But that's in the spoilers. I say all this to say Santiago happened. That was the most disappointing grand finals I think we've ever had. Like, just not particularly close. And not too mad that it was regional, but I am mad that I knew this was going to be the result. And I wish that they would have faced each other sooner. Like, Triple LM gives you a lot of matches to work with. So whose fault is it that these two teams never met, right? Like whose fault is that? Until grand finals, I don't think that's anybody's fault. But when people are saying that it makes it like impossible for it to be a bracket thing, no. I looked at some of these things and like every region, there's a couple of them that you got here because of bracket. Like it's still very much a bracket thing, no matter how hard some things happen. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.